The standard American diet contains a large amount of sugar, more sugar than we need. It's recommended that we consume no more than 6 to 7% of our calories from sugar. So that can range from 7 to 9 teaspoons, depending on how many calories you're taking in, of added sugars per day. So we're not referring to the sugars that might naturally be in fruit or milk, but we're talking about added sugars, the sugar they actually add to foods and drinks. And there might be some surprising sources that contain larger amounts of sugar than you would think. So we're going to do a little sugar demo here and actually show you how many teaspoons of sugar are in some common items. Sweetened applesauce. One of those small serving cups, those little plastic small serving cups, can actually contain 5 to 7 added teaspoons of sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll be conservative here. We'll just go for 5 teaspoons. This is what 5 teaspoons of sugar looks like. 1 teaspoon of sugar equals 4 grams. You can always take the grams of sugar and then divide that by 4, and that will let you know how many teaspoons of sugar. And I think it's important because when we talk about how much sugar is in the diet, you know, it's one of those confusing things that can be on a label. But if you understand how to read the label, and then you can figure out how much sugar is actually in your food. One of the last jars of spaghetti sauce I looked at had 12 grams of sugar in a half a cup. Who really has just a half a cup of spaghetti sauce? So most of us would have probably a good full cup of spaghetti sauce. So that would be 24 grams. That's 6 teaspoons of sugar in 1 cup. So that's adding another teaspoon here to our already 5 teaspoons. That's how much sugar can be found in 1/2 a cup of spaghetti sauce. Sodas and energy drinks really vary in the amount of sugar they have. So we're going to look at an average can of Coca-Cola. That's 10 teaspoons of sugar right there. I recently spoke with somebody who said they drink 3 liters of soda a day. Now that's extreme and that's more than most of us do. But let's look at how much sugar would be in 1 liter. This is an example of 22 teaspoons of sugar. While most of us aren't consuming a liter of soda every day, I challenge you to look at the labels and find out exactly how much sugar you are eating a day. Because again, the recommended amount is definitely less than 10 teaspoons, depending on how many calories you're consuming. The simple solution might be to choose diet products. Diet products do contain artificial sugars that are considered safe. However, I think there are some valid concerns about some of the artificial sweeteners that are on the market. So what are some alternatives you can do? There are many. There are so many more options now than there were 5-10 years ago. So I'm not going to go into them all, but there's some ones that I really think have some value. One of those is Xylitol. One of the things I like about Xylitol is it's a natural sweetener. It doesn't have a blood sugar response, and it's actually good for your teeth. And I generally don't like to promote specific brands or products, but I just want to highlight one because it's a Grand Rapids company. Dr. John's makes these great lollipops, and they don't have any artificial colorings in them, and they don't use artificial sweeteners. Instead, they use xylitol. So having a lollipop is a nice little sweet treat. It's good for your teeth. It doesn't have a blood sugar response, and it's a Grand Rapids company. It's a nice alternative. Stevia is made from stevia leaves. It's actually a great herb that you can grow right along in your garden along with peppermint, and then you can throw in some of the leaves with your peppermint leaves and make a great tasting tea. Stevia comes in powdered, liquid, granular, and a special form for baking. It's much sweeter than sugar. You don't need to use as much of it. And the liquid is great if you want to put it in coffee instead of your typical sweetener. They even make a hazelnut stevia for your coffee lovers. And they also have just plain that it's wonderful in a smoothie. You can use it in recipes. There's a variety of great things that you can use with stevia. Choosing natural whole sugars would include sugars from fruit sources, honey, and maple syrup. In general, I suggest people avoid products like high fructose corn syrup, chemical sugar substitutes, and brown rice syrup.